Café Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1360, 70 something or other. 1373. That's what it is, 1373. I'm Mike Matthews, broadcasting from Café Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valleyton. And for the very first time today, I'm using a completely different computer in Podcastro Valleyton, so I will see if this even works. I don't know. Mike's Daily Podcast. This is sort of an experiment. We will also hear from Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the engineer. Mike's Daily Podcast. I've had a crazy weekend. It all began on Friday night. I was going to walk my dog Basil the boxer. All right. Well, what happened was I went to roll up my windows and something happened, and wouldn't you know, one of the windows wouldn't roll up. It nothing would happen. Mike's Daily Podcast. I pressed the switch, nothing. You know, you can't do it manually unless you tear apart the door. I don't know how to do that. So, I ended up daily taking my car home, and then, because I couldn't just park there and leave the window down. I'm paranoid. I know stuff's gonna happen, and people are gonna break into my car. So I just left. I went home, and the next day, well, look who just walked in. Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, the job supervisor. Oh my God, that's so scary about the thing with the car. Yes. I mean, the car still runs fine. It's just that thing. And, you know, I tried to do my little AutoZone, look who else walked in, O'Reilly's thing where I'm trying to fix it myself, Kragen type thing. But no, my little... Actually, it was the guy at the O'Reilly's who helped me out. Auto parts stores scare me.
And here's today's podcast picture.
The podcast picture today, I just went with this picture of some nice Alabama McMansions and a little lake. And I have no idea where this is in Huntsville, Alabama. I know it's in Huntsville, Alabama somewhere, but I'm not sure exactly what part. So, just... I don't know, I like it. There's some blooming things in the plants in the foreground. It's a foregone conclusion that someday I'll make it back to Alabama, but right now I'm busy with all kinds of stuff and a car. Now, you know what? The car's window was fixed yesterday because I took it over to the mechanic early in the morning. But I work till 6. They close at 5. So my car's just going to sit there at the mechanics all day today, which is Sunday. And then tomorrow, most of tomorrow, I'm going to take Bart to work. But I'm excited about taking Bart to work, although there was a bit of excitement of taking Bart here to Podcastro Valleyton today because there was a guy with an aluminum baseball bat that attacked the Castro Valley BART station. He didn't hit anybody, but he started doing damage to the station, and it was happening just as we were about to leave the station. I'm on the BART train, and a guy walks up to I'm in the front car, so you know the driver of the front car is there, and he rolls down his window because there's a guy that comes up to him and says, "Hey," and I don't know what they're talking about, but next thing I know, we're just sitting there, and the doors open and close and open and close, and the driver of the BART train is like waving to someone on the platform, and then we finally go, and I'm like, what was that about? What happened? I'm confused. And we get to West Dublin, Pleasanton, and I get out and I ask the driver, I go, what happened? He goes, oh, aluminum baseball bat. And I said, wow. And he goes, yeah, we get some weirdos on the weekends, he said. Well, today is Pride. It's going on in the name of love. They could not take your pride in the All right, so Sylvia listens to the show, and apparently she doesn't like you too. Sylvia and I had a little discussion about that. I'm like, the reason why people don't like U2 is because their music got overplayed on the radio. They were that big. their music got that popular. That's several albums, all the way back to, well, you have the first album that had songs like, run away, I will follow. See, that's the thing. When people, ignorance in music just drives me nuts. I was talking to Marco, the guy who brings us the Marco Minute.
The Marco Minute. The Marco Minute.
And we were discussing, and I do this too, I'm guilty of this too, people that just blanket paint, just broad stroke is what I'm trying to say. Something about a band, a musical act, and we were talking about Rush. And this guy I produce a morning show for, I played some Rush on his show once, and he goes, "Oh, Rush is the worst band ever. The drummer, he drums upside down." And I go, "What? Neil Peart drums upside down?" Now, I've seen 2 Rush concerts. I've got a lot of Rush albums. If I don't own them, I've, ripped them off of people, friends, etc. Made cassettes when I was younger off of other people's CDs, etc., etc. Love Rush. And I know Neil Peart has never drummed upside down. He is a craftsman on the drums. He is a brilliant drummer, rock drummer. And so this idiot sends me a video of apparently Neil Peart drumming upside down. It's not even Neil Peart. I think it's Tommy, what's his face, from Motley Crue, Tommy Lee, drumming up. He was known for drumming upside down. So Marco told me, somebody told him, "Hey, Rush, all their music sounds the same." And I go, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's because people, all they hear on the radio are the same 2 songs, Tom Sawyer and Limelight, or Spirit of the Radio, and they hear, well, more times out it's not. They're listening to Limelight and Tom Sawyer, which came from Moving Pictures, the same album. And of course, if you're just playing the same music from the same album, well, that band sounded a specific way at that time, and they do sound the same. But then they just, but like, some people like the fact that a band sounds the same the entire time that they're around. And they sound like those songs. And so people say that about U2, which is like so far from the truth, because they had their sound in the early 80s that's different from when they got more electronic in the 90s. Ugh. Look, just if you're going to criticize a band, know your stuff first, is all I'm saying. Look who else is here. Oh, Mike, this is Floyd the Floorman! And this is John Deere, the engineer. Music is a very subjective thing. Mm-hmm. That's true. I guess that's what we'll just wrap it up that way. Hey, the wonderful website, Mike'sDailyPodcast.com, is where you can hear all the past shows, help out the show through the Amazon link. If you're going to donate to the show at all, there's the PayPal too. Hey, if you're going to buy any CDs on Amazon, go through Mike'sDailyPodcast.com first, and that helps us out. Okay, let's get to the segment called
The Fascinating Material Project. The FM Project.
So first off, another luxury condo at Manhattan's 157 is scheduled for a foreclosure auction. The second time in a month that a property seizure is being sought at the Billionaire's Row Tower following a mortgage default, and it might be the biggest in New York City residential history. Apartment 79, a full-floor penthouse that was the 8th priciest sold in the building, is scheduled for auction on July 19th. The owner of the condo, a shell company listed in public records as 15779 Inc., bought the 6,240 square foot residence about 3 years ago for $50.9 million. In September, the company took out a $35.3 million mortgage. The full payment of the loan was due 1 year later. The borrower failed to repay, and now Bank Haviland, because this is a bank based in Luxembourg, is forcing a sale to recoup the funds plus interest. Lots of money involved in that. Speaking of Europe, as the United States grapples with the implications of Kremlin interference in American politics, European countries are deploying a variety of bold tactics and tools to expose Russian attempts to sway voters and weaken European unity. Across the continent, counterintelligence officials, legislators, researchers, and journalists have devoted years, in some cases decades, to the development of ways to counter Russian disinformation, hacking, and trolling. This according to the Washington Post. And they are putting them to use as never before. 4 dozen officials and researchers interviewed recently sounded uniformly more confident about the results of their efforts to counter Russian influence than officials grappling with it in the U.S., which one European cyber official described as like watching House of Cards. The response here has been very practical, observed a senior U.S. intelligence official stationed in Europe. Everybody's looking at it. In the recent French elections, the Kremlin-friendly presidential candidate lost to newcomer Emmanuel Macron, who was subjected to Russian hacking and false allegations in Russian-sponsored news outlets during the campaign. In Germany, all political parties have agreed not to employ automated bots in their social media campaigns because such hard-to-detect cyber tools are frequently used by Russia to circulate bogus news accounts. And finally... I got 2 things. First off, this college professor who recently appeared on Fox News to defend Black Lives Matter event in which only black people were invited, has been fired. It was announced on Friday that Lisa Durden, a former adjunct professor at Essex County College in New Jersey, would be let go from her job following a heated argument on Tucker Carlson Tonight, a June 6th episode, while speaking about an all-black Memorial Day celebration hosted by Black Lives Matter group. Durden, who is black, told the host, "You white people are angry because you couldn't use your white privilege card to attend the event," she said. The former professor who taught communications and pop culture classes as an adjunct, according to the Newark Star-Ledger, also called America a racist society. Well, the college was immediately inundated with feedback from students, faculty, and prospective students and their families expressing frustration, concern, and even fear that the views expressed by a college employee with influence over students would negatively impact their experience on the campus, said the newly appointed Essex County College president, Anthony Monroe. And now, finally, gender-neutral emojis. A whole new set of new emojis are coming your way, and this round includes gender-neutral characters, a woman in a headscarf, and even a breastfeeding emoji. More than 6 billion emojis are sent every day, and they appear in every form on billboards, in movies, and clothes, and even in a Doctor Who episode. By the way, I got completely caught up on the Doctor Who season, and I have to say, And the most recent villain, and they did a 3-episode arc. They were called the Zombie Monks, I think. And they were trying to take over the world. But in taking over the world, they weren't like harvesting humans or anything like that. All they wanted to do was be adored by the human race. And they wanted to infiltrate our brains to make us think that they had been here throughout our history. That's all they wanted to do. They weren't like trying to suck our energy or anything like that. They just wanted to be loved by us. We had to respect them was the one caveat. It made, I don't know. Stephen Moffat's almost out of there, so happy about that. Emoji originated in Japan, but have now become a universal language across the world. That's where the Unicode Consortium comes in. They are the group responsible for making sure that all words and images are read the same on any device in any part of the world, and they control what emojis get made and added to your phone. It's not like the Supreme Court. They're not going off into some star chamber in robes or anything. It's not like that at all, said Greg Welch, a member of the consortium. And anyone can submit an emoji proposal to be considered by the group for approval. The process can be long. There are many technical factors that go in the final decision. but use and popularity are among the most highly considered issues. When an emoji is selected to be part of an update, it's then up to designers at an individual tech company like Apple and Google to design the way it appears on their respective devices. And that's how that works. Unicode is responsible for making sure an iPhone user sending a smiley face to a user on an Android phone can see the same thing. Oh, that doesn't happen well at all, I must say, because people with iPhones send me emojis all the time that I can't frickin' read. It just shows up as a square with an X through it. Thank you. The newest release is available now to phone companies and should appear in your next system update as we go outside of Café Anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. Next show, it's going to be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. And wow, looks like this may have worked, doing this show on this new system. I am using, for all you audio nerds out there, the Adobe Audition CC 2017. So I'm using very recent recording technology, thanks to the wonderful people here at Alpha Media today. Alpha Media does not in any way represent... Oh, that was an interesting noise. Oh, you didn't hear it. Represent any of the views that they don't agree with anything I say, basically. They're not responsible for anything I just said. I don't know if I have to throw that disclaimer in there, but... And here's the lovely Ariel with another disclosure to close out the show. It's been a pleasure. At your disclosure, take care.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow.